a host of people might not agree with you.
Oh, well,
Are you saying that, you're completely exonerating expertise from, because some people will say that sometimes, it's not just about the environment might not be it in terms of the work environment, the beds, but that sometimes the care that you're shown by the medical personnel also goes a long way towards your healing.
yes, you discover that the doctors we're talking about now, or the medical personnel, they are part of the society. I may be the best automobile mechanic, for example. If the tools are not there for me to use, I can only brag, make noise, and carry my city and guild certificate and be posting up and down. The same thing, you look at a pilot who is around now, who is trained in one of the best pilot schools in the world, and is moving about the street because no aircraft for him to probably use, for example. So when the tools are not there, you only make do what you have around you. And it's even like a barber. If you don't have good clipper, for example, you make do with what you have, and people look at you, oh, look at these guys just posing around. His mates are all over there doing the best, and but I can tell you, I've been to Asia, I've been to Europe, and I've been to America. Nigerians are there fantastic, who are seasoned practitioners. But begin to ask ourselves, what is amiss? What is the problem? Let me give you a quick example. The other time we heard about, I wouldn't like to mention names, but at least the president in India, in Uganda, for example. Uganda, he flew his daughter to Germany to go and deliver a baby in Germany, from Uganda to Germany. Whereas the likes of a brigadier, for example, and another one, Apakobolo, they were dying in Kenyan hospital because they wanted to remain there to really get what they wanted in their own country. And you'll agree with me, they were showing some patriotism. And another one, for example, Sally, Bidandi Sally, that one, for example, had to be flown to Bangkok in Thailand, even for minor ailments. Look at our Wada, for example, in Kogi State here in Nigeria. He sustained some injury, and I'm sure I think he took his treatment at, the Cedar Crest Hospital, for example, and it was well done, for example. So it's not about the expertise. They are there. But when you look at people again going, some go for transplant. Some go for these magnetic resonance imaging, MRI. Some go for, computerized tomography, the CT scan. Some go for some other things. You begin to ask yourselves, are these things not really around in this country? But go to a place in Abuja, like this Life Bridge Diagnosis Center in Abuja. You will see state-of-the-art diagnostic tools and materials on ground.
If you look at our training facilities for the profession, I mean, if somebody were to even start from there, and you go there and you see what's obtainable, don't you think we'll shudder at what we'll see?
Yes, the training facilities, you begin to talk about maybe some of the agitations, for example, of the National Association of the Resident Doctors in Nigeria, where we train our specialists and a lot. The other time, one of them raised an eyebrow and said, look, 200 million was requested. For example, maybe I think in the BU also, was requested to train 500 residents. Only 90 million was approved. This looks like inadequate funding. Even the teaching hospitals we have and the general hospitals we have, we do agree that they are not really well funded enough to move. Begin to hear again that, government has just voted about $650 million to really go in and build Abuja, medical city. These are things that are good on the theoretical table. But when it comes to implementation, the people must get themselves out of their cocoon of what I can call culture of impunity. When the culture of impunity is there, in the real implementation, you begin to see contractors who want to see how this money will water down, what's going to happen to this $650 million, that kind of a thing. And you begin to ask questions. Are we really creating this for the good of the society or because some people will benefit? So in the real implementation, you begin to ask yourself questions upon questions. Then the training, outside or inside of Nigeria. Yeah, at times you say you've done your residency training, you want to go and do 1 year abroad to get exposed to more sophisticated machines and equipment to prepare you very well for specialty and subspecialties. These are things that are needed. to keep us on board.
When you look at all of this, it didn't just start today. I remembered once when we had, that was in the early 80s, droves, doctors all going to Saudi Arabia and even Kuwait.
The brain drain.
Yeah, the brain drain. And we thought by now we would have been able to fix all of that. Yesterday we were talking on phone, and we had to make a reference to President Mandela, who is in the hospital in South Africa. So we haven't even seen the South African government make any attempt to fly him out of South Africa. It means, well, all is well with the medical system there. So what haven't we done well in this regard? If you say we have the experts and we have seen them leave the country in droves, to the extent that we have also lost a couple of presidents, General Abacha, Umar Yar'Adua, isn't it time for us to do what you just highlighted?
Thank you. To a good extent, you will agree with me that South Africa is one of the tourist centers in medicine that people have been visiting from African countries, neighboring African countries, and some other people have been visiting South Africa from other countries outside the African continent. And the authority of Africa, for example, South Africa, and for example, even Nelson Mandela, don't forget, he's a freedom fighter, and this man is principled. They begin to ask questions. Where else are we going? The generating plant, or the so-called energy supply in South Africa, for example, what they use to run their airport alone, just the airport, is probably competing with what you use to run the entire country we call Nigeria here, in terms of power supply. And you see, medical delivery, healthcare delivery, one of the key things you need is that you don't negotiate power supply. Power supply is not adequate. You don't also politicize issues that have to do with the lives of human beings. You begin to ask questions, multi-ministerial affairs. How much are we budgeting to health? How much are we budgeting to engineering? How much to agriculture? How much to defense? It's not about that. It's about us knowing that health is wealth. And you need to be alive, you need to be healthy, to be able to pilot or drive other ministries.
But Doctor, you also agree, away from, sorry to butt in, you also agree that away from the equipment, we also have people that have made us lose faith in some of the professionals here. Sometimes you have a little ailment, you're being told all sorts, but the moment you leave the country, stepping into another country, you get diagnosed and you're well again. So maybe we're talking about
have all the resources it takes us to bring in this equipment to this country. We have all the resources it takes us to bring first-class equipment. For example, the MRI machine that we have in Lightbridge. I'm not here preaching Lightbridge. I don't even know the owner. What I'm saying is I'm citing that as an example in this country, in Abuja. It's measured in Teslas. The quality of the machine is measured in Teslas. It's 1.5 Tesla, the one we have there. Most of the ones we have in Nigeria is 0.32, 0.35 by quality of ability to release good results, for example. And if you are using 0.32, 0.35, compare with 1.5, look at the gap. That's a Japanese technology, for example. It's available now in Abuja, and that's the third place available now, so to say, outside Japan in the world. And that can be a costly machine. You also have ultra-fast X-ray machine, for example, that can take about 70 patients at a time within 1 hour. You don't need a dark room. You don't need to process films. All of this. Is it the money we think we don't have? I think we have the money. It's political will.
Yeah, but I think
we also need to look at budgetary allocation. We are underfunding healthcare industry.
I think we basically, the question, Chamberlain, is, sorry, Solai, if I get it, you're right, is, first of all, what is the effect of quackery on confidence in, in the medical sector? And then two, for a host of medical practitioners, it will seem that money is now becoming the focus, making more money, and then when patients come in, they get diagnosed, fantastic diagnosis, for maybe very petty ailments, and people are wondering, am I sure that this is what is wrong with me? What effect does that have on the industry itself?
Yes, you see, when you talk of quackery isn't just about saying, oh, somebody doesn't know anything. A gynecologist who dabbles into the field of an ENT surgeon is a quack in ENT. I don't know if you understand what I mean now. You see, whenever you go to a field where you don't have that total expertise, you become a quack there. Now, the fantastic thing is that, okay, somebody has diagnosed you, somebody has told you this, the ailment you are suffering from, come and pay. What is even the purchasing capacity